The first season of Squid Game was an international success in a way that no one thought it would become this big. SNL and Mr. Beast are just two huge brands who ripped off, who copied Netflix's great TV show. It came out of nowhere and honestly, so many people suggested it to me and I kind of avoided it for a long time. But when I finally saw the show, well, I should say that it was pretty entertaining. A fast-paced TV show with a protagonist that you could actually root for because he had every single reason to win the prize. But when the game started and we met other characters, well, I knew I was in for so many heartbreaks. And indeed I was. So it goes without saying that when the second season came out, I binge watched it like a hungry animal and well, here's my review. Since the show just got out, I try to keep it vague and not spoil a lot of things so you can stay. And while you're staying, just hit the subscribe button, it doesn't take a lot of time. Thanks. Here's the premise of the second season of a Squid Game. After the events of the first season, Gihan, well, that's like the only name I can pronounce. I will not pronounce other names because I don't want to butcher the names anyways. Gihan is ready to take a flight and join his family, but when he sees the recruiter who recruited him for the games, he decides to stay and put an end to the games. We follow up on the policeman as well, the one who got shot and fell off the cliff to this season and somehow survived after a nice man saved him. By the way, if you forgot, the runner of the game was his brother. Anyways, it's been 3 years since the last season and Gihan hired a lot of people to find the recruiter. So basically he uses the money that he won to put an end to the game. Finally, after 3 years, he finds the recruiter, somehow makes friends with the policeman as easy as you like, and together they plan to find the island, but all their plans blows up like fantastically in their faces and Gihan ends up on the island again and again he has to play the Squid Game. Well, that was the premise, so let's start with the positive aspects of season 2. Somehow they managed to pull it off and write a, decent way to pull Gihan back to the games and on the island. Of course, if you completely shut your brains off and don't ask any questions, there are so many conveniences. There is something about these Korean actors as well. They are almost all great in their roles. Almost, that was a great emphasis, because some are just horrendous. The new games included to the show were fun to watch and you can feel the heavier budget spent on the show. And to my surprise, there was one single twist that still got me really well, even though the show is like beat for beat from season 1. And unfortunately, that's all for the positive parts. Now let's talk about bad stuff. Okay, the first season of Squid Game went all in, and the second season was not surprising or entertaining like the first one, and the tensions around a couple of characters that that nothing will happen to them, it didn't help either. The other thing was the script, maybe my biggest problem. The B stories, the stories in the background were straight out of Netflix and straight out of Hollywood writing rooms. I'm not talking about the transgender character, even though I could talk about her or him as well, but characters started monologuing and shared their lives in any given moment, and it just takes time and doesn't make you care about them a bit. One of the things that made the characters from the first season great for me was the fact that they were more mysterious and human, and the idea that more is less was completely respected in that season. Another problem I had was that with all that Gihan and his friends, did in the first couple of episodes to create a plan to find the island, Gihan didn't do anything meaningful with his information, with his data. Even when he had the chance to ask some meaningful questions, he just didn't. Some of the characters are so over the top, man. Honestly, I thought they were kidding. And while I'm on the subjects of characters, this season was awful in this part. I didn't like or care about any of them, and honestly kind of felt good when some of them bit the dust. Random and useless action scenes replaced the emotions and the heart of the first season, and it backfired badly. And naturally, with great and heavy action pieces comes comes super crappy and cheesy dialogue. The dialogues were just on another level of bad. The show somehow felt really slow paced, even with all the action scenes, especially in the last two episodes. And in fact, there is another season coming, and this one, the second season, felt incomplete. I try not to take a lot of your time like this show did, so yeah, let's go to the final words. The writer of the first season publicly said that for what he did in the first one, the money that he got was not enough. So he wanted to create this season to make money. So, that can tell you a lot. On the other hand, it's Squid Game. It can still entertain you. It can still be better than so many other things you can watch. It's not that long as well. 7 episodes can be binge watched very fast, and you can cuddle up with your partner and enjoy it. But do not expect it to be as good or even remotely as good as the first season. It was a bummer. It was a disappointment. And that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care. Goodbye.